The 80s was a time of massive shoulder pads, ridiculous haircuts and ozone-depleting hairspray. Many of us look back on this decade through rose-tinted glasses, but let's face it, some pretty shitty things happened during this era that would go on to affect future generations for years to come. But there was one thing that defined the 80s more than anything, and that was the video game revolution. Although home video game consoles began to dominate the industry at this time, arcades were still packed to the rafters with teenagers who just wanted to hang out and get the highest score. There was one arcade machine in particular though that seemed to attract more attention than most. Part urban legend and part truth, this is the story of the infamous Polybius. It was 1981 in Portland, Oregon in the United States. Queues of eager teenagers lined up down the block to play one particular machine. That was Polybius. Fights would break out as to who was playing next or if someone had jumped the line. If anyone did get a chance to play Polybius, they would end up with nausea, sometimes vomiting and even having seizures. Every night, men in black would come to download data from the machine and then disappear into the night. Some say that this video game was a mind control tool made by the Central Intelligence Agency as part of Project MKUltra. So where exactly does the urban legend end and the truth begin, I hear you ask? Well, in a span of about a week, 3 children really did get ill while playing arcade machines in Portland, Oregon. Whilst playing at the Malibu Grand Prix arcade on November 27, 1981, 12-year-old Brian Morrow blasted away at asteroids over the Thanksgiving 3-day weekend, which was recorded by the Oregonian newspaper, in a bid to break the world record of 30.1 million previously set by 16-year-old Dennis Hernandez. 28 hours into a 48-hour challenge, drinking only Coca-Cola and orange juice for nourishment, Morrow succumbed to painful cramps in his arms and serious gastrointestinal upset, forcing him to forfeit his attempt prematurely. He only made a score of 14 million. But he wasn't the only one who suffered uncomfortable symptoms going for video game records. For on the very same day, at the very same arcade, 14-year-old Michael Lopez of Beaverton, Oregon was challenging his friends on Atari's Tempest, trying to beat his friend's best score. According to Mr. Lopez, now a nightclub owner in Seattle, Washington, he and his friends were battling it out at Malibu Grand Prix arcade, taking turns on the game when, right in the middle of his game, he began to feel strange. I began to feel a weird sensation in the back of my head, he said. Then my vision started going out. Little flashing lights. Suddenly I got sick and stumbled outside where I threw up all over the parking lot. One of my friends walked with me back home, but we didn't make it all the way there. My head hurt so bad, it got to a point where I couldn't speak and I couldn't walk anymore. I collapsed on someone's lawn 4 blocks from my house, rolling and screaming in pain. It felt like my head was cracking open, then someone called the cops. That was the first migraine headache I ever had. I've had them off and on my whole life since, but it was freaky because I didn't know what was happening at the time. Only a week later, 18-year-old competitive gamer Jeff Daly died due to a heart attack after chasing the world record in the arcade game Berserk. 1 year later, 19-year-old Peter Borkowski followed suit for the same reason, playing the same game. Now, let's talk about those strange men in black who were actually legit FBI agents. 10 days after Lopez had his migraine attack in the arcade, news flashed around the state that local police and a bevy of federal agents or men in black stormed several bars, lodges and arcades in the Beaverton and Portland area in a video game raid. According to the Oregonian newspaper, on December 9th, 1981, after a year of surveillance, a warrant was issued to a 48-year-old arcade operator who later admitted that he was rigging his games up for gambling. By wiring the games with a counter to record how many games a player had accumulated for play, the arcade owner was illegally paying out money instead of points. So the Polybius arcade machine itself doesn't actually exist, but the events attributed to it were real, although they were slightly embellished. The fact that people actually died playing arcade machines is actually quite scary when you consider he was only 18 years old. Add to that the FBI agent storming arcades to confront an illegal gambling operation. It's easy to see how these events snowballed into this legendary arcade machine that made people sick and even die. The moral of the story is to put the controller down, put the phone down, go and live in the moment, for we only have so much time on our planet, and a hobby is not worth dying for. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, and if you enjoy strange but true stories like this, then you should definitely subscribe for weekly videos. Thanks for watching.